kind of book could frighten an empire? A book about the past? A book about the stars? Or a book powerful enough to make people question the world around them? Across history, some books did not simply disappear. They were targeted because rulers, conquerors, and religious authorities understood one thing very clearly. A book can preserve a memory that power wants to erase. And if people remember a different past, they may begin to question the present. This is the story of books and manuscripts that history almost lost forever. The first case begins in ancient China. In 213 BCE, Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor of China, ordered one of the most famous book burnings in history. He had created a new empire, a centralized state, built on law, obedience, and control. But old books were dangerous to that system. They contained the histories of earlier kingdoms, rival philosophies, older rulers, and different ideas about power. To Qin Shi Huang, these writings were not harmless records. They were reminders that China had once been ruled in other ways, and that made them a threat. Historical texts, philosophical writings, and political discussions that challenged the new order were targeted. Some practical books were allowed to survive, especially texts about agriculture, medicine, divination, and the official history of Qin. But many writings connected to older traditions became forbidden. This was not only about destroying books, it was about controlling memory. If people could not read about the past, they could not compare it with the present. And if they could not compare, they were easier to control. Centuries later, another civilization lost most of its written voice. The Maya had books known as codices. These were folded manuscripts, made from bark paper. Inside them were hieroglyphs, numbers, calendars, rituals, astronomical calculations, and religious knowledge. The Maya studied time with remarkable precision. They tracked the sun, the moon, Venus, and eclipses. Their books preserved how they understood the universe. But after the Spanish conquest, many Maya writings were destroyed. In 1562, the Spanish bishop Diego de Landa became connected with the burning of Maya books at Mani. To the Maya, these books carried knowledge. To colonial authorities, they were seen as pagan and dangerous, so they were burned. Today, only a few Maya codices are known to survive. The Dresden Codex, the Madrid Codex, the Paris Codex, and the Grolier Codex. That is the disturbing part. An entire civilization had books about astronomy, time, ritual, and belief, but only a handful survived. The Dresden Codex shows how advanced some Maya knowledge was. It includes material connected to Venus cycles, eclipses, ritual calendars, and divination. So the real question is not only what survived, the real question is what disappeared, how many calculations were lost, how many historical records were destroyed, how many names, dates, ceremonies, and beliefs vanished before anyone could copy them. The next story takes us to Baghdad. During the Islamic Golden Age, Baghdad became one of the greatest centers of learning in the world. Scholars translated Greek, Persian, Indian, and other works into Arabic. They studied medicine, astronomy, mathematics, philosophy, geography, and literature. At the center of this world stood the House of Wisdom. It was more than a library. It was a place where knowledge from different civilizations was collected, translated, studied, and expanded. Greek philosophy entered the same rooms as Indian mathematics. Persian scholarship stood beside astronomical tables, medical writings, and scientific commentaries. All of these ideas moved through Baghdad, but in 1258, the Mongols captured the city. The Abbasid capital was devastated, and its libraries suffered with it. Later accounts claimed that so many books were thrown into the Tigris River that the water turned dark with ink. Whether that image is fully literal or partly legendary, the loss itself was real. Baghdad did not lose only books, it lost translations, commentaries, scientific notes, medical works, and centuries of scholarship. Some texts may have survived elsewhere, others may have disappeared completely, and that is why this destruction matters. When a center of knowledge falls, the world does not only lose what was already written, it loses what future scholars could have built from it. Then there is the most famous lost library in history, the Library of Alexandria. For centuries, Alexandria has been remembered as a symbol of ancient knowledge. It was connected to the Mouseion, a major research institution in ancient Egypt. Its scrolls may have included works on philosophy, medicine, mathematics, astronomy, geography, poetry, and history. But the story of its destruction is more complicated than the legend. Many people imagine one great fire, one night, one disaster, and the wisdom of the ancient world disappearing forever. But historians believe the loss was probably not that simple. The library may have suffered through war, political decline, changing rulers, religious conflict, and neglect over time. Some collections may have been damaged, some scrolls may have been lost later, and some knowledge may have disappeared, simply because no one protected it anymore. That makes Alexandria even more mysterious, because we do not know exactly what was lost, which maps disappeared, which medical ideas were never copied, which histories of ancient peoples vanished, which scientific theories were lost before they could reach later generations. Alexandria is not only the story of a destroyed library, it is the story of missing possibilities. These 4 cases happened in different places: ancient China, the Maya world, Baghdad, and Alexandria, but they all reveal the same danger. When books disappear, human memory becomes smaller. Sometimes books are destroyed because they challenge power. Sometimes because they belong to a conquered people. Sometimes because war destroys everything around them. And sometimes because civilizations forget to protect what matters. A lost manuscript is not just missing paper. It may be a missing map, a missing medical idea, a missing calendar, a missing history, a missing voice from the past. And that is why these destroyed books still matter, because the greatest mystery is not only what happened to them. The greater mystery is what was inside them, and what history lost before we ever had the chance to read it.